when Batman brings everyone to the Batcave. And then Alfred's like, oh, should I put on the tea? And then Batman's like, yes. And then Alfred's like, where will I find the cups? Where did he find the cups?
I don't know.
We didn't find out. I didn't see them drinking, so did he not find the cups?
He must have not found the cups because they didn't drink the tea.
This is the plot hole that really got me hung up. I had to pause the movie for a while and think about it.
Where are those goddamn cups?
All right, from the top.
Playhouse Reviews.
All right, folks, we got a very special episode of Playhouse Reviews for you this week. So, I'm Jamie, and you are?
And I'm Charlie, his brother.
Yeah, my
number one brother.
Number one brother. I'm second number one brother. We're the Playhouse Reviews brothers, and we got a very special episode. We've been long awaiting the highly anticipated Zack Snyder cut of Justice League.
You can tell from our Wonder Woman review how much we love the DC universe.
Yes, I love superheroes so much. They're great movies. Very, very original plots and storylines I've never seen a billion times, so it was great. I'm glad I got to spend 4 hours watching Justice League. And we're also going to be talking about a movie called Come True, a psychological horror indie film. It was very good. But before we get into either of those, Charlie, did you watch anything good this week that you want to bring up?
Yeah, I want to mention I watched the Tell Me Your Secrets show on Amazon Prime that on your recommendation. So I know it's not a movie, but but don't arrest me here.
It's
okay?
I forgive you.
I just want to mention it was actually surprisingly good. I feel like what it did really good is that all the characters are just like terrible people, but it still like keeps you engaged. I felt like I kept thinking about I Care a Lot, where like all of them are unlikable characters, but you still don't want to like root for them. They're just like annoying. Mm-hmm. This one, they're all terrible characters, but the show is still engaging. Like you're still interested and you still want to know what happened.
Yeah, it's very very interesting. I liked it did a lot of like different psychological stuff, and from the start, it's a little slow to get going. It felt very much like a Showtime kind of like daytime television show for me.
Yeah.
But then once the plot got going, there was a lot of like the dynamic between certain characters and the back and forth and the kind of like classic cat and mouse like trying to get revenge plots going on. But it takes it to like a much deeper level than most TV shows go with the psychological and kind of the trauma. Like everyone in the show has like their problems, has a pretty fucked up life, and then it's one of those things where you're not sure if you can trust the main girl's storylines enough because she's a little crazy. So that just makes it another interesting dynamic, but it's actually done very well. So
well, yeah, that's like all the characters like interact with like one other character, and it's always like a really weird, like complex relationship that's done really well. Like the mom and like the crazy rapist guy, and then like the main girl and like her psychologist. Like all those relationships, I felt like were really well done and interesting, even though like you're not really rooting for any of the characters.
Yeah, well, that's what's interesting about the show. I feel like the show, it's really about kind of those like abusive power relationships, and like as each character, they really like has some level of that dynamic. I mean, I think there's a little bit of power dynamics in all the relationship, but some it's just one of those things you don't know if the person's bad or not. So it's like, what is their purpose for being
exactly.
Like that? So like but that's why it goes into this kind of deep, like uneasy, kind of dark materials, and it's pretty good. It was
it is good, and I feel like it stuck to the title really well because pretty much every character does have a secret, and then like they're always like really interesting and definitely are not expected. Like there's a lot of twists and turns that pop up through this, and it's like, oh, that's that character's secret. What's this other character's secret? And it was really well done.
Yeah, and the ending, the big twist ending, I was not expecting. That was
I was not expecting that either. And because I was expecting some sort of twist, kind of because that's just like the themes of it. But at this one, I was not. I feel like we shouldn't spoil it just because it is so well done.
Yeah, it's worth watching. It's very important, and it kind of catches you off guard. So. Watch it, and then each character had a pretty good development too. They did a good job of keeping it mysterious for all the characters, and lots of themes of redemption as well. So very interesting. I'm excited for season 2.
Yeah,
hope it comes out soon.
Let's talk about Come True, the psychological horror movie directed by Anthony Scott Burns, starring Julia Sarah Stone and Landon Liborian.
Yeah.
So what were your first impressions of this movie?
I really, really enjoyed this movie. The dream sequences in particular were very, very intriguing. I think it opened with like a pretty cool, like kind of just like slow zoom in on like a TV screen with the title and stuff, and then it goes straight into like a weird, creepy dream sequence. But those are some of the most like interesting like nightmares sequences I've seen in a movie in a very, very long time. Much better than the ones in Batman vs Superman. But yeah, it kind of reminded me of almost like a Gaspar Noé movie, like Enter the Void. Just like those cool and with really nightmarish imagery.
Yeah,
which was good, and then it just throws you kind of into this girl's life pretty immediately. And I feel like you pretty quickly feel her struggle or whatever she's going through. You don't really know the details, but you know it's not good. And it's just, you just kind of have this impending feeling of doom the entire movie, which I liked a lot.
Yeah, it's like a real like slow burn, like kind of reminded me of like the Black Coat Skedaddler, except like more synth.
Yes.
So we had like a really good soundtrack. I liked all of the dream sequences. I think you enjoyed it a little bit more than I did. There were a few scenes that I didn't like so much, and then parts of it I feel like could have been better. But overall, it was an enjoyable movie, and the dream sequences were great. I love though. It was kind of towards the end of the movie where it's like legs with a whole bunch of arms coming out of it, like walking around. That was like, it was actually really creepy, I thought.
Yeah, that was really creepy. For me, it just the filmmaking, how they did everything was really a lot of the close-ups and stuff, and just from a technical aspect, it was just very pretty to look at, like in a kind of weird, depressing way. Like when there's like a weird phenomenon where you walk into like an empty room and there's like kind of like a weird buzzing noise, and you just get this like feeling of just like evilness. Like the whole movie just kind of has that impending bad feeling the whole time.
Yeah, it's kind of like you know things are just like slowly getting worse and worse, and like she's losing her mind more and more, and it kind of keeps you guessing on like what's gonna happen, because you never really know. Like it just gets weirder and weirder as it goes on.
Yeah, it does. And I like the psychological stuff, because it kind of primes you, like the beginning of the movie or part of the movie, it talks about like, oh, like the persona. Then it says like, oh, the anima and animus, and like, oh, the shadow self and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's like just really kind of heavy-handed, like Carl Jung psychology, which is probably where the movie kind of has its downfalls, because it's trying to go into those like psychological elements and maybe kind of play into like, oh, the characters also represent different ideas of the unconscious, and the whole movie is really just exploring the unconscious, which is what that part of psychology was all about, especially the shadow self. So it's kind of her tackling her shadow self, which Jung writes about a lot. I don't know that much about him. I just know very surface level about
didn't even pick up on any of that of my.
Yeah. Well, it's just like it's just kind of one of those things, like when it has those words just coming up like all like black with a white thing. Like, okay, this is probably what he's trying to go for. Then it helps explain the ending, in my opinion. So I guess we'll get into spoilers, because I don't think anyone will have seen this movie yet who's watching this.
Yeah.
But yeah, the ending, because at the end, when she like, after she like murders the guy, her doctor friend, and then like she's in the bathroom and like it shows her vampire teeth. I thought that was super, super out of place.
Yeah, the vampire teeth was really weird.
And then I was like, why is that? And then like she gets the text message or whatever that's saying she's like, oh, you've been in a coma for 20 years. But I thought it was kind of a cheap ending, to be honest. Just the text message.
I mean, I kind of liked that, but I definitely understand why other people wouldn't.
I like the idea, but I think that's a cool idea, because basically she's in a coma the whole movie, which is a super interesting idea. I just think they could have thought of something a little bit better or something.
That's what I was kind of thinking too. I feel like these type of like slow burn movies, it's really important to like have like really like detailed things planned out. So I was trying to think if there were any like hints to that earlier, and I couldn't really like think of anything like alluding to that.
Well, she's always trying to get her phone. Like she loses her phone at the laundromat, and then she's really focused on like the time. Like, oh, what time is it? So like maybe it's just showing her distorted reality. And she's like, I don't know, but I think she's like on her phone texting a pretty good amount. So I want to say maybe
for like the first half of the movie, it's like her mom calling her and texting her friend.
Well, that's what I mean. I think that's kind of like why it has those different chapters. Like the self is really like basically the version of me and you that we see. So that's why it starts pretty grounded in reality. And it's like her, since she's in a coma, she's kind of giving up and forgetting about her family. Like she's slowly losing touch with her own version of herself and her own memories.
I guess that
of
makes
reality.
sense. She like loses her family, then she loses her friend, and then she loses the doctors.
And the way I think the phone represents her like communication to the real world. So that's kind of her tie to
Oh,
reality. So
that
then when
makes
she loses
sense.
it, she really descends into the pure unconscious. And that's kind of because the whole shadow self, that's when that starts, I think, is when she loses the phone. So really the shadow
Yeah.
self is like, for like every version of you, there's like an anti-you. And that's like the darker, repressed version of yourself.
like the end of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Yeah, exactly. So then, like, when she goes into that, that's like when she's running. That's like the vampire things. I didn't get it at first, but the vampire things that represents her. She's been completely overtaken by her shadow self. I feel like because like vampires, they live in the shadows.
Yeah.
So,
No, because you're right. Because right after she loses her phone, it's kind of like when the two other guys have the shared dream with the monster. So I guess that does make sense to what you're saying.
yeah, and then like I think that works on some level, but that was a little muddy for me. Was like, what do the shadow people actually represent? It's kind of like I guess it's the unconscious, but I also feel like it could be like the doctors trying to wake her up in different ways too. So
that was kind of like my dumb brain interpreted it, that it's like the doctors watching her in a coma and like trying to do these experiments on her, because it definitely looked like the way the shadows were looking at the people was kind of like how a doctor would look at someone in a coma.
yeah, well, that's the thing that my biggest problem with the movie is that it does go into those cool ideas of like psychology, which I liked, but from a narrative, it's still a little muddy. Like I think it was purposely trying to be ambiguous, but it didn't come off as just pure ambiguity. It came off as a little confusing and just hard to not hard to understand, but not in like a good way where like, oh, open to interpretation. Like it kind of is there, but I don't know.
Well, it kind of gives me hope though, because I think I looked it up, and this is the director's second movie that he's directed. So I hope as he makes more movies that he gets better and then can kind of elaborate and make a good slow burner like The Witch or Blackcoat's Daughter.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think this one was more interesting than Blackcoat's Daughter. I don't know if I liked it more, but I think just visually I like this movie more. Like that's why I just loved it.
The aesthetic of this one was really good. It reminded me of Drive with like the same music. Electric Youth did a lot of the music for both the movies, and then lots of like blue neon colors and things like that.
Yeah, it was good. And I like the main actress more in this one too. She was really good. But
yeah, she's I recognized her, and she had like a bit part in a TV show I watched before, but that was all that I knew her from.
Well,
but yeah, she did a good job. She just looked so miserable the whole movie, and I feel like that's what they were going for.
Yeah, well, they did a really good job of like at first she looked really really tired in the movie, and then like when she actually got a good night rest, she like it actually felt like she got a good night's rest. Like the movie did a really good job of capturing what she was going through the whole time.
Yeah, she did a really good job. The doctor guy I felt like didn't do a great job, but she
was not
she was really good.
But yeah, all that was very interesting. I mean, I really like this movie. Definitely not a perfect movie though. I mean,
yeah, that's one thing I wanted to mention. Some of the scenes were really, or maybe not scenes, but the plot points are really dumb. Like the doctor's crushing on the girl and like stalking her, but then she like and then she's all grossed out because he's creeping, but then she like falls in love with him, and then she's like, oh hey, I'm 18, and then it immediately cuts to them having sex.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. It wasn't done that well. Like I think that's when they were trying to explore like the anima and the animus, which is basically like the masculine and feminine version. So like in a girl, the anima, or maybe the animus, is like the inner male, like what her archetypes are of what she imagines like the handsome, attractive guy to be. And then it's vice versa. So like men, they have like their inner woman that they see, and that's what they're attracted to according to psychology stuff. But again, like that doesn't really add that much to the narrative. Like it does when you look at it from that lens, but still narratively didn't quite. It felt kind of weird.
Yeah, it didn't work. It was too like rushed.
Yeah, it was just kind of creepy and felt weird. And the guy was just a weird beard man. Like I don't know.
He was a weird beard.
And like the girl's actions didn't make sense. And then I feel like they were trying to use like, oh, it's just the unconscious like coma dream mind. But I'm like, I don't know. I still feel like it was a little lazy, even for dream logic. At least with the rest of the movie, you know.
Yeah. And then I didn't like the ending where they're like running in the forest and like getting snatched up. I thought that was kind of dumb. that felt like very like amateur screenwriting directing, right, for me.
Yeah, I mean, I really liked that whole build up to it though. Like that.
Yeah, the build up was really good.
Until
But
they got the phone, it was kind of good. But they had that huge like big monolith of like that like scary. Like I don't know what it was, that big like black box that they saw like on the camera. I'm like, oh my god, what's gonna come out of that? What kind of monster thing? So I was kind of let down because like, I was expecting some really. I mean, I guess maybe they had limited budget. I don't know, but them getting swooped up in the air. it was kind of creepy, but yeah, what I was expecting a little bit more, to be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, the lifting up was just kind of dumb. I would have rather have them be like REC, where they just like fall and then like get grabbed and pulled into darkness or something. I just felt like the ending didn't really fit.
Well, with the whole vibe of the movie, kind of like the retro '80s stuff and like the computer screens, I was getting vibes of like scanners, and then like especially when their eyes were bleeding, I was like, oh, I hope some heads explode. I was just waiting the whole movie for someone's head to explode.
Yeah,
Especially when I was like, oh, like when the monsters are staying over and they're having the seizures, I'm like, oh, they're gonna start seizing up, and then they're gonna bleed out of their eyes and pop. But it wasn't that kind of movie.
Yeah,
I think it was like.
Oh, I really like the aesthetic of the technology. Now that you mentioned it, like the silly like '80s like dream suit she had to wear when they were doing the studies, and then like the big keyboards and stuff. That was cool.
And at first, I thought they were just doing it for purely like stylistic purposes and stuff. I'm like, oh, it's because like when she has a smartphone, so it doesn't actually take place in the '80s. But then once you realize that she's supposed to be in a coma the whole time, then you're like, oh, okay, so it's been over a span of 20 years, so then that's maybe what the technology looked like when she was first in the coma, but it's been so long, so it's kind of the older technology mixing with the new, because she doesn't know what the new stuff's like, so she's kind of blurring all the years together. So I thought that was interesting, and it worked better, like not like in Wonder Woman where there's no point of it taking place in '84. At least there's a little bit of a tie in this one.
Yeah.
Also stylistically and for the narrative, it makes sense.
But yeah, I just want to mention the soundtrack again. The soundtrack was really good.
Yes.
Nice. I put some of the music on some of my playlist.
What were
Quite enjoyable. Electric Youth and
Electric Youth.
Pilot Priest, I think is the other one.
Pilot Priest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening. I was gonna look it up, but I didn't. I was like, oh, it sounds like churches. Is what it reminded me of a little bit.
Yeah, that's the one main song when they are having sex. I thought it sounded like churches or like Purity Ring or something, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, soundtrack was very good. That was one of my favorite parts. I mean, with a movie like this, especially with those like kind of like those like the dream sequences where it's just zooming and going deeper with like the cool heavy synths. Oh my god, yeah, that's like my favorite. So that's like perfect.
The dream sequences were so cool. It's like worth watching just for the dream sequences. I feel like those are pretty creepy.
Yeah, it's kind of reminded me of what is it, the Scarlett Johansson movie, Under the Skin.
Under the Skin.
Some of those like with the skin. There's some of the like those skin suits and stuff. Like we're like
not quite, those ones are a little bit more disturbing, I think, but these ones are more creepy.
Well, they did something very similar looking to it, but yeah, I feel like that one is just more like disturbing. This is just unsettling. Like the whole time, just this unsettling, bad feeling, but in a good movie way.
Yeah, well, I think that's what they did really well. Like, even though like the plot and some of the scenes didn't work too well, the feeling that they were going for, I feel like they really nailed that. Just like the uncertainty and like the dread.
Yeah, they got
like the uncomfortable
right?
and it. Yeah, that was definitely the strength of this movie.
Yeah, I think he just needs to the director, if he can get a better blend of like the main narrative blending with the dream world to kind of help viewers get more into like the, I don't know, that kind of like dreamlike art house film type viewership, it would be better. Like it's hard to do. I think he did a very good job still, but that's not an easy thing to do in movies.
Yeah, no, especially for like this being his second movie. I feel like I hope he just gets more movies and then gets a little better as he goes on.
Yeah, it reminded me of Possessor a little bit with the style. Or what was that other one that you had me watching? I think it was the Spanish one where it's like this girl at a bar gets like possessed by a demon and they go to like
Veronica?
Was it Veronica? It could have been. And then like there's like they're in that weird like recording booth trying to like interview, and it's like all like smoky, super low budget stuff.
Oh, Luds,
that's it. Yes,
Luds or something.
That kind of reminded me.
I love that movie. That's like, I love that. I feel like that movie had like a $1,000 budget too, which makes it like so much better because they did so much with so little.
Yeah, that one was really good. It's like all in that one room with like the different chairs and stuff, which was cool. But it was those are all good movies in this similar vein. So it was.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Did you ever watch The Guest?
Yes, I did watch.
It reminded me of The Guest a little bit too, even though that one's like a little bit more in your face than this one. It kind of had a similar vibe.
Yeah, I like this movie because like aesthetically it was a little bit cheesy and kind of like that classic horror style, but I think it took itself pretty seriously, and like it didn't get too silly. Like even Possessor went over the top with some of the gore, which kind of like takes you out of it. And then like The Guest, the whole plot's just kind of weird and ridiculous. So
yeah.
That one's good. But this one's very straight, and I think it does it well.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely enjoyed this movie. It wasn't really what I was expecting, but it still worked.
Yeah, I was not expecting this at all. I was very pleasantly surprised because I love these types of kind of art house horror. Maybe some people call them more style over substance, but this one had the substance and
Yeah,
the atmosphere and was just stylistically great. Great
Yeah, and
soundtrack.
I know people like to complain like how these slow burners, like nothing ever happens or anything, but I kind of like it when movies do that. Like,
Yeah.
it works.
Like House of the Devil.
Yeah, House of the Devil, like Black Coat's Daughter, Pretty Thing Under the Stairs.
Yeah, well, I don't know. For me, I was. I mean, you primed me, I think, though, with it. So like you kind of told me it was a slow burner, so I wasn't expecting much to happen. But I felt it moved along pretty quickly compared to some, like at least from a drama standpoint, not necessarily from a horror perspective. Like if you're expecting like crazy stuff to happen,
Yeah.
like really it's just like the dream sequences are kind of what the horror starts, and then. But yeah, it's not like crazy action horror. Lots of people dying all the whole time. It's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
very subtle. But I love that stuff. Some people don't.
Yeah, no, it
for
was
horror,
good.
they may not
It was
want
good.
that. But I mean, the main actress was good enough to like carry you through the story and you to care about her enough and what happened.
Yeah, because a lot of the movie is just like close-ups of her face, and
Yeah, well, and a lot of movies that do this type of stuff, the main actress is pretty one note or not that interesting. Just kind of your typical final girl in the horror
Yeah.
movies. This one, at least,
yeah, I
she
mean
has
that's
a
kind of like Black Coat's
personality.
Daughter. Yeah.
This one you actually care about her and you're like, oh man, she has some crazy shit going on. You don't know what it is necessarily, which adds to the creepiness, I think. But it was good. So yeah, I don't have much else to say. For those who didn't watch it, go out and watch it. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, I think I would recommend this one if you just want a creepy horror movie.
Yeah. Not for
I'd
everyone.
say this is worth watching.
But if you liked any of the other ones we mentioned, check it out. Actually, do you want to quick do a tie-in that Come True reminds you of Neon Demon as we segue into it, so that can be your final thought on it, so I can cut it.
Well, I just feel like it had a very similar aesthetic as this, where like it has like strong female lead going through her own like descent into madness, kind of, with a similar synth soundtrack and dark neon colors. And it just reminded me of it, except Come True had a little bit more going on. More happens in Come True than Neon Demon. But
Yeah, Neon Demon is definitely more of the what is it? The style over substance in some cases.
Yeah.
Like a beautiful looking movie. Probably looks better than Come True, but did remind me of it. There's more.
Yeah, you
more
said this one
character
is-
development in it.
this one is kind of an art house movie. Neon Demon is like very close to an art house movie.
Yeah, it pretty much is. It's basically just horror
Yeah.
house.
yeah. But
Both
yeah, I
great
just wanted
movies,
to
though.
mention that briefly.
All right. Well, now we're getting to the meat of it.
What all of our fans are waiting for, the 4-hour long Snyder cut of the Justice League.
Yes, we've been waiting years for it. The previous cut was shit. Now we got the good cut, the original creative vision of Zack Snyder. And
A true genius.
Yes,
It's like Quentin Tarantino, Michael Bay.
Stanley Kubrick.
What was the director? Tom and Jerry. I forgot his name.
Tim Story.
Tim Story, and then Zack Snyder at the top.
Yes. Zack Snyder. Ooh, wow! What a man! What a man! Yeah. So if it's not obvious, this was Justice League, DC Universe, directed by Zack Snyder, starring the great Ben Affleck, the older, less superior brother to Casey Affleck.
Casey Affleck. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder why they chose Ben Affleck to be cast in this. I guess just
So
'cause
that
he's
was
famous?
honestly my first thing. How do you go from Christian Bale to Ben Affleck? Like, I feel like whoever made that casting call should be like fired and blacklisted from Hollywood forever. Because Ben Affleck is like one of those actors where he's like Bruce Willis, where he just like doesn't give a shit anymore. But like hiring Hollywood people haven't just noticed yet somehow.
Yeah, like at this point, I feel like Ben Affleck's at that point of his career where Adam Sandler's been for a while now. It's like he's minimal effort actor.
Yeah.
Kind of just seems like a deadbeat dad type character.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's just because of Gone Girl. Like Gone Girl, I guess, is the only type of role I feel like you can play going for. Just kind of that.
Yeah, I mean, he
like,
was good, like, late 90s, early 2000s. He had some good, like, thriller movies that he was good in. And then Gone Girl's literally the last movie I remember him, like, giving a shit about. I'm sure when they were hiring him, he's like, oh, well, I can wear a mask, so you don't actually need me for, like, most of the filming, right? And they're like, yeah, probably.
But yeah, I think my theory is that Christian Bale he made his contract to do those 3 Batman movies, and he's like, please, no more. I want to make real movies now.
Well, I know that's what I know. I did some research. That's what Christopher Nolan did. They wanted him to do more of the DC expanded universe, but he was like, "Nah, I just wanted to do my 3 Batman movies, and now I'm gonna move on to other projects."
Yeah, well,
So
I mean, if you make 3,
they got the upgrade to Zack Snyder for that one.
yeah. And that's, well, I mean, that's what I mean. I mean, it's a clear progression. You know what? Of superior directors. I mean, Christopher Nolan. Come on, let's see Christopher Nolan make Tom and Jerry. I don't think so. But I did not know that Zack Snyder directed the Dawn of the Dead remake. I didn't know that until.
Yeah, I mean, we all jokes aside, I actually like a lot of Zack Snyder's movies. Like, The Watchmen was really good, and like the 300, but he's just kind of like a one-trick pony at this point. But
yeah, well, I don't know. I had not. So going into this, just to let everyone know, I had not watched any of these DC movies necessarily. I think I saw Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 84, and those were the only like DC Universe ones I watched. And then,
well, I was waiting the whole time. How come Shazam's not part of the Justice League?
Is he part of DC Universe?
Yeah.
Oh damn! I guess he should have been. I mean, that. Oh yeah. Okay, so I did see Shazam. Shazam,
Yeah,
I
but I
enjoyed.
mean,
I enjoyed that much more than any of these ones.
I think that's my favorite of these big budget superhero movies.
But yeah, last night though, to prepare for this podcast, because I hadn't seen any of the 3, I didn't realize how long all of them were. So I was gonna just power through and watch them all, but I had to skip Man of Steel, so I just watched Batman vs Superman, Ultimate Edition, which is 3.5 hours, back to back with Justice League Snyder Cut, 4 hours. So nice 7.5 hours of Snyder.
Great hours.
Yeah, hours well spent. And to be honest, I had just really only heard of the memes online about how overly dramatic all his movies were. He's just an edgelord and all that stuff. And you know what? To be honest, I was a little disappointed at how not edgy the movie was. Like, Batman vs Superman definitely was, but I guess because it's a Batman movie, it makes sense. Mm-hmm. But Justice League was not very edgy. I mean, I guess it's... yeah.
I just want to say, when the Watchmen TV show came out, which was amazing, I rewatched the Watchmen movie. Mm-hmm. And I remember loving that movie when it first came out. And I watched it again, and it was still enjoyable, but that one was super edgy. And like, I still liked it, but I realized I was like, oh, I was probably like the perfect like target audience for that when it came out in the early 2000s, because I was like a 16-year-old edgy teenager then, so I loved it. And it was still a good movie, but I was like, damn, that one is edgy.
Yeah. Did you like Watchmen more than Justice League?
Oh, definitely. Okay, so
what were your thoughts though on Justice League? Just overall,
so
generally?
I was pleasantly surprised. I went in with pretty low expectations because I know like the original cut like kind of just became a meme with like Superman's upper lip because he didn't want to shave his mustache. But this one I actually enjoyed it. I felt like it was above average superhero movie. The plot was like whatever, nothing special, but the action scenes I actually enjoyed for the most part, much better than like Wonder Woman and a lot of the other action scenes from the Marvel universe where you can't really tell what's going on.
Yes, I agree. That was not necessarily the case though with Batman vs Superman. The lighting, there was something fucking weird going on with Batman vs Superman. There was like scene from scene, it was just like some looked very overexposed, and some were just like you couldn't even see the people's faces. It was so dark, and it wasn't just for like battle sequences to make the CGI and hide the bad CGI. I don't know what was going on, but luckily Justice League looked much better. But it did have a lot more CGI than Batman vs Superman. I noticed.
Okay. But I definitely feel like the action scenes were definitely the strong point.
Yes, I agree.
The acting was subpar. Plot was subpar. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a superhero movie, that's for sure. It's just to me, like this was a fine action superhero movie. I just prefer normal action movies. Like I feel like I've seen this superhero plot like a billion times. Not even in superhero movies. It's just like, oh, there's a big bad enemy. The world's gonna end. We gotta assemble the team of highly skilled individuals to save the world type stuff. And it's like, I mean, it's what's gonna happen. Very formulaic, but it was just 4 hours long, which is a lot of movie
definitely need to be that.
And I feel like for 4 hours, I cared very, very little about most of the characters.
Well, that's my big thing. There was no character development, and the thing is, like Cyborg and the Flash don't have their own movies, so we don't really have a lot of time to like get to know those characters. And then,
well, Flash was the only one I felt like had a personality at all. He was kind of like silly and goofy, and like had something to add to the characters.
I kind of want to spend some time and go into each of the superheroes just real quick.
Let's
first of all, I was really bothered that the whole movie everyone had "the" in front of their names. It's the Batman, the Superman, the Wonder Woman. And I just thought that was weird, just like a nitpicky thing. But it just really bothered me that they couldn't just say he's Batman. He has to be the Batman. Okay, so first, what do you think of Ben Affleck as Batman in this?
I mean, not as good as any of the other Batmans in other movies. I mean, I was primed with him because I watched it back to back with Batman vs Superman, but he was hardly in Justice League. Like he brought them together, but he just comes off as an arrogant kind of rich guy in the movie. He did in the other one too, and he just kind of just seems like he's full of himself and just like angry.
That was like
he just drinks a lot, had sex with like random women, just doesn't give a fuck.
Well, that was like another bad joke when the Flash is like, "What's your superpower?" and he's like, "I'm rich," and it's like.
I mean, I think I laughed at that. It wasn't great, but it was better than anything in Wonder Woman or majority of Marvel movie jokes, I think. But
I mean, it just shows like how pretentious he is, and like he doesn't do shit the whole movie. That was my big thing. Like,
he assembled them. That was his role, I guess.
I mean, not really. I feel like Wonder Woman did just as much as he did with that.
Yeah, but one thing he did do is that he greatly improved since Batman vs Superman, because instead in Batman vs Superman he's trying to kill Superman. In this one he's not trying to kill Superman. He's trying to bring him back. So I guess
he has that one line. Oh, I'm trying to right a wrong or something.
He has faith now, so he's a born again Christian. That's why he's good now.
So then Cyborg, another no personality.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm mad at my dad, and that's it.
Yeah, and the movie is basically like his origin story, but he doesn't have a personality either. And I was thinking maybe he was trying to be like, oh, I'm half machine, so I don't have a personality because I'm just a machine boy. But I didn't feel any connection to him.
Yeah, well, I think that's what Zack Snyder was going for. He's more, I already said this multiple times, but not for this movie. It's the style over substance. Like, instead of taking the time to develop Cyborg as backstory, he just had like a 5-minute cool football sequence of him playing, which looked really good. I actually enjoyed watching those. Like, it looked cool. So, I mean, that's fine, but he's also not a character I really care about necessarily because
I felt like it was really weird adding him to the Justice League for the movie because I feel like he's not like one of the main like DC heroes in the first place, and especially in Justice League I just felt like he was a weird choice to add him, but I guess since they wanted to do like he's hacking the GameCube at the end. But okay.
Yeah. Well, with characters like with that, like it's a cool idea. His suit looked pretty cool. I thought he has cool superpowers. He can hack stuff. Like the character itself, like as a superhero, is interesting, but just doesn't really have a personality.
Well, and then a thing too, he kind of makes Batman obsolete because Batman's kind of like the intelligence guy, where he's like figuring things out and making plans. But now they have like this live supercomputer, so now Batman is like extra useless.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a little. Okay. Yeah, because then even like his assistant, what's Batman? Alfred. Yeah, even Alfred was kind of like useless now because that guy can do it all.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so next Aquaman. So I know like on the internet, Aquaman's kind of like a meme now because like he just like talks to fish and that's his superpower and like
the deep.
Yeah, exactly. But so I feel like they're trying like really hard to make him seem like a badass, but then that's like his only trait now. He's like, oh, I drink my whiskey and like I'm a cool guy now. Like,
he did nothing in the movie. I mean, I guess they had to have him because he was like his people, the Aqua people, were like protectors of the box. Yeah. But I don't think he really contributed much at all.
I mean, he stabbed him at the end after Superman already punched him in the face a whole bunch.
Yeah, and didn't Wonder Woman like also like stab him or something? Like as the body like he pitchforked him and then threw him in the air, and then Wonder Woman chopped his head off. Like that. Yeah. But still, I mean, think they could have done it without him if they had to.
Yeah, I mean, he helped him when they were like in the sewers, and then like he stopped the water coming, I guess.
Oh yeah, that was his one-time shine. I really
yeah.
like that action sequence because you said the action sequences were the best. That one where
Yeah,
they like
that one
went
was good.
to like
Yeah.
rescue Cyborg's dad and like that. What is it? I don't even remember. Was it like Alcatraz type prison place or something? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But that was really cool. And they had that big like drone spider thing that would like climb on the walls. That was pretty.
Yeah, yeah, the action scenes were great. So, Superman's barely in the movie. I don't think we really even have to mention him, and it's like, who cares?
I didn't realize. Like, I think that's why you need to watch Man of Steel because I didn't watch that one, but I think that's where they really get into his character as being like an alien on Earth and like feeling out of place. That's where they kind of develop him. At least that's what it is according to my Marvel movie DC superhero expert friend Andre. But yeah.
Well, that was the thing because they talk about like Superman's spaceship a whole lot, and I didn't understand any of that because I hadn't seen the other movies. But I mean, it's not super important. But
yeah, well, that's what kind of initially was because the Mark Zuckerberg boy Lex Luthor he used Superman's ship in Batman vs Superman to build like the little like demon robot thing. Like he's like a scientist, so he uses Superman's ship to make it, and that's what unlocks the box at the end of Batman vs Superman.
Okay, that's kind of cool then.
And then that's how Superman dies because he's defeating that monster, and then gets impaled by the monster's horn when he kills it.
Okay. So then Wonder Woman, I feel like she was definitely the best in this of the superheroes.
Like most like useful.
Yeah. Like she actually like drove the plot forward, I guess. And they also did like the bare minimum. Like she talks to Cyborg for like 1 second, but I feel like that's the kind of stuff we're looking for is like those interactions. And I feel like she's the only one that had like genuine interactions with the other members of the Justice League.
Yeah. I can't remember if it was in this one or if that was in Batman vs Superman, but they introduced her a little bit in that, and then she interacts with Ben Affleck, and it just really makes you not like Ben Affleck because he's basically just hitting on her the whole time, and just like he's coming off just kind of arrogant again. And then she's pretty funny at like throwing it back at him, but not great. But
yeah,
they kind of got rid of that whole plot line of him hitting on her the whole time by this one, which is good.
But I liked her a lot more in this than in her own movie in 1984. I liked her a lot more. Even though the opening scene I thought was really stupid, where she was like blocking the bullets and like crawling on the floor. Like if you can move that fast, wouldn't it be easier just to like knock the gun out of the guy's hand instead of try to block every bullet? But
yeah, that's what was kind of strange. Like, I feel like everyone can move super fast. Like, not just the Flash. Like, everyone can fucking move at the speed of light. Well, not the speed of light, but pretty quick.
I mean, they can block machine gun bullets. It's not like they're blocking one bullet.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. Like, dodging one bullet's fine, but like a whole clip from like a machine gun, I don't know about that. But whatever, superhero movie, so she has superpowers.
No. Logic changes as the plot needs it to change. But so then I think everyone's favorite was The Flash.
That was my favorite.
Yeah, I thought a lot of people say they like don't like his jokes, but I felt like he feels like a real person.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they weren't just jokes for jokes though. It was just kind of him, like it was kind of him being like an awkward teen type person.
Yeah,
but they did it good. Like, I mean, it was a little cringy, but there were some funny ones. Like I laughed out loud when he was like, "Oh, I have to run really fast, so like I consume a bunch of food, so I'm just like a black hole for snacks. Like I'm like a snack hole." And I thought that was really funny.
I thought he was. He's like the only one that has like a personality. Everyone else is just like, I'm a super serious superhero, and that's their only character trait.
Yeah.
So I think that's why like the Flash and then even Wonder Woman at least has a little bit of a personality, and that's why those were my two favorite.
Yeah, well, Cyborg did have his like dynamic with his dad. Like he was mad at his dad, but I don't know. I just feel like they did it much better with Flash and his dad in prison still. So I don't know. It just fell so flat for that one, but maybe just because Cyborg was like a quiet person, but I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. And I was hoping. Okay, so I have two things I want to talk about. Let's go to the Flash a little bit more. So when he's first introduced and then that girl crashes her car, that scene was so weird. And then she doesn't come back ever.
Yeah, that was really weird. But as a scene on its own, like in the movie, I didn't really get why it was there. But I really liked that scene.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
that was so good. It looked really cool. I loved the slow-mo time motion. And then like even when he grabbed like the little wiener, I thought that was really funny. But then he gave it to the dog at the end.
Yeah,
that was so good. That was like one of my favorite action.
Yeah, I mean, I liked the scene. It just felt out of place with the rest of the movie.
Yeah, who the fuck was that girl? Was she from? Didn't you watch the Flash TV show or did you?
Yeah, but I mean, it's a different.
So she's not in. Okay, yeah, she's not in the Flash.
Well,
TV
I mean,
show.
he has like a love interest in that, And I mean, they look kind of similar, I guess. But I mean, I have no idea if that was her. I mean, I don't think she even had a name in the movie.
But yeah, that was out of place. It did feel
Yeah, I
weird.
liked the scene because I guess that's like his introduction because he's not in any of the other movies, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, that was just
like-
the thing. Each character had its introduction, and like all the introductions were fine, but God, it just felt really like, all right, we got to introduce Aquaman, boom, introduce Flash, introduce Cyborg, like just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah,
boom.
and that's
It's
what's
like,
weird too because those characters have already been established. Like with the Flash and Cyborg, I understand because they're like new characters, they don't have their own movies. But it's like, who cares? Just have Batman just call him up on his bat phone and be like, hey, like, come over to the Batcave. We need to do this, save the world. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just so long with a movie like this. Like, it's not like that complicated of a plot where it necessarily needs all this. And it's the same thing we've seen a billion times.
Yeah,
Where you have to assemble a group of people with special skills to do the mission or whatever. So
well, that's like my favorite like Marvel movie is the Logan movie because everyone knows who Wolverine is. They don't waste time with like an origin story, and it's like an alternate timeline too. It's not even like the real MCU. So it's just like they just throw us in. They don't give us like all this bullshit that we don't need because it is like just a solid standalone movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what I thought was really funny? Sorry, backtracking a little bit was on Wonder Woman's character. I thought it was so funny that like because when we were reviewing Wonder Woman 84, and if you haven't watched that review, folks watching this video now, go check it out because it's a great review of Wonder Woman 84. But in that movie, we're complaining about her character because she's supposed to be like this strong woman, but like she still can't get over Chris Pine. That was in like the 80s. So this movie takes place in like 2016 or something now, supposedly. And so now it's been like she met him in World War I or II, so like in the 40s.
World War One, yeah.
World War One, yeah. So so it's been a long time in there. So it's been like 40 years or something in 1984. Then now it's been like another 40 years, and she's still talking about him, and she's still sad and can't get over Chris Pine.
The Flash was interested in her, so maybe it's something they'll do that.
I doubt it. I just thought it was so funny that even now, like that's still her only character trait they can really give her is that she still misses Chris Pine from like almost 100 years. Like, I mean, I guess she's been alive for thousands of years, so it's not that long for her.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. I just thought that was funny that again.
But how about
talking about that?
A spin-off miniseries like WandaVision, but it's Flash and Wonder Woman living in a sitcom together.
Oh, that'd be good.
That'd be pretty good. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah, what was the
okay,
joke?
so
am I too young for Wonder Woman?
Yeah,
Flash be like, well, she's thousands of years old, so every man is young compared to her. And he's like, I just thought of the line from Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying I have a chance?
Yeah. I mean, I thought that joke was fine. The jokes actually, there weren't very many jokes, but I feel like they landed a lot better than Marvel movies.
Well, in Marvel, the problem with the jokes, in my opinion, is that all of the dialogue is kind of cheesy and silly. So they're not always trying to be jokes. It's just kind of going for that atmosphere. So when there is jokes, they don't feel as like timed as well because it's just these kind of constant just spewing of shit. So you don't really notice the jokes.
Okay, so the perfect example is Guardians of the Galaxy 2. The jokes pretty much ruined the movie for me because they followed the same formula where it'd be like, okay, everyone, we're getting ready to tell a joke. Okay, are you guys ready? The joke's coming. They tell the joke, and then they're like, hey, remember a few minutes ago when we made a joke? That was the joke. And, like, I just remember they're like, the girl wants to, like, eat an apple or something, and they're like, oh, it's not ripe yet. And then she tries to eat it a minute later, and then it's not ripe yet. And then she fights some bad guys, and she takes a bite of the apple, and then she's like, oh, it's not ripe. And that was, like, the joke, but it was, like, 5 minutes of a not funny joke. Oh. Oh, fuck that movie.
No, I pretty much blocked out most of that movie. All I remember was like as soon as I started watching it, it was just Baby Groot dancing during the big action sequence, and I'm just like, God damn it! And then I just like kind of just was just so put off. I was like, all right, this movie down the toilet then.
You know what they should have done with Guardians of the Galaxy? Is they should have had all of them be WWE people instead of just so Batista. Good. Like if John Cena instead of is Star-Lord or whatever, and then just get all of them. Now that is
and then instead of what's the main dude's the main Guardian guy's name?
Star-Lord, but Chris.
I want to say Chris Pine, but that's because I'm Wonder Woman. But I know it's not Chris Pine.
Pratt.
Chris Pratt. That's it. Yeah, instead of Chris Pratt, just get the normal action hero that everyone loves right now, and everyone can pretty much unanimously agrees is great. The Rock. Just get the Rock.
Just get the
Dude,
Rock.
The Rock in space. He needs to do more space
And
stuff.
then Kevin Hart can be Baby Groot.
Yes. And then throw the Undertaker in there too. He'd be great too. Just get more WWE.
The Undertaker
people.
can just be Gamora. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, dude. Oh, that would be really.
Okay, so one more thing. Okay, back to the Flash. One more thing I want to mention. So now the Flash is like friends with like Superman and Batman and all the other superheroes. So couldn't Batman just like bribe some guards to let his dad out of jail?
That's what I thought was gonna happen because like at the end of what was it? At the end of Batman vs Superman, Superman's mom's all sad because Superman's dead and they bury him. And they have like a big military, like heavy-handed propaganda scene of them burying him. And then Martha's like, "Oh, I forgot my checkbook. I have to pay for my son's funeral now." And then I'm like, "Oh, so an anonymous person took care of it already." And then like Ben Affleck like cuts to him like standing there, like he paid for it. So like, oh, they're gonna do that again with him helping out the Flash, but no, they didn't. Flash has to earn to get his dad out of prison.
When the my guess is that when the Flash has a standalone movie, it's going to be about him trying to get his dad out of jail. That's
probably. I don't know. Did this movie do well enough for them to give it a standalone movie? I thought DC was dying, but I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not on.
I mean, this one has significantly better reviews than the other Justice League one, and I think the movies are still successful.
Yeah,
even if
I'm
it's
sure
not
they
as
made a lot of
successful
money.
as the Marvel ones. Yeah, but I mean, it's hard to tell now too because it's not going into theaters. Really, it's just on HBO, so I don't think we'll know how much it's making.
Yeah, I think Flash, they kind of focused on his kind of jokes and silly character, and then that distracts you from noticing the weird plot holes and things that they don't do in it.
So the reason why people want to watch Justice League is because they want to see the superheroes come together and like interact with each other. And I feel like there was very little interaction with any of the characters.
Well, I would agree from like a typical movie like character point of view, where it's like they kind of become friends and you see those dynamics and their partnerships growing together. Yeah, that was pretty much absent. But the whole movie's pretty much absent of character development in my opinion. It's not well done.
A little bit with Cyborg, but that's like about it.
Yeah, it's really just about the big action sequences. So I think when they were actually battling, they used pretty good teamwork.
Yeah,
so I think that was supposed to be the character development, is them fighting together.
But I feel like the characters needed to like use their specific skill set better, like because everyone kind of just like punches. But I feel like they needed to like have each person use what they're good at, and they kind of do it in the last fight. But like I wanted to see like Batman like be sneaky and like plan ahead. Like I feel like a really good thing would be like if Batman like had planned all along, like what if we bring Superman back and he's evil, and like he already had some safeguards in place, like like he had some kryptonite in his back pocket, or like he thought maybe he brought Lois Lane there instead of her just like wandering there.
Yeah, and, well, it's weird that he did that a lot in Batman vs Superman.
Yeah,
when he was
yeah,
gonna
that
fight,
was
he
my
was so
impression.
prepared, and like he had all these traps and stuff and a big like battle suit. So like, yeah, he didn't do that in this one though. They kind of
he's just I felt like he's just rushing through everything the whole time, but
yeah,
and I feel like I don't know. Like when they're helping the hostages escape, I feel like the Flash could have just like carried them out in like 1 second instead of like having Cyborg like bodyguard them out. And just I wanted to see each person use what they're good at instead of just generic fight scenes.
Yeah, that I feel like that scene specifically when they're on the island escorting the people out. I thought Flash was going to carry him out really quickly. I'm like, oh, that would have been cool. But instead, he's just like guiding, like they use that as a joke.
He just runs to the front of the line,
he's
runs
like,
to the back of the line.
Go up to the top of the stairs. Like, why? I don't know. That was kind of annoying.
In the TV show, he saves hostages all the time, where he'll just run in and grab them before the enemy can even react. So.
Yeah, so that was. I feel like they underutilized him in that fight scene, and then at the end he did use his powers though.
Yeah, so I liked that. I liked that.
He ran really fast, but yeah, that was kind of dumb. I feel like that was more of like a joke kind of fun fight in the movie because they even had him trip, like, which I thought was gonna be kind of dumb. I remember he's running, then he trips on the wall and then falls and shit.
Yeah, he kind of defeats himself. But
yeah, so I thought that was kind of funny. He did that a bunch. He just got tossed around like a rag doll.
Yeah,
he got
flopped.
It was so ridiculous.
I really liked all of his fight scenes though, where like he just kind of like gently pushed things when he's running really fast. Like when he pushed Wonder Woman's sword, I actually really liked that stuff. And I thought it looked cool, and it was like funny, and I feel like it was kind of like clever. I feel like it was like a clever way of doing.
Well,
his
and it just
powers.
works with Snyder's like how he directs movies. Like I feel like all he cares about is these cool, overly dramatic slow motion action
Yeah,
sequences.
he
Like
loves the slow mo.
And the
He
Flash,
loves the
you
slow
can
mo.
do like slow mo times like 100.
Yeah.
So like I love that too. The Flash's action scenes were my favorite, and that the part where they're trying to reactivate the box in Superman's ship. And so he has to run at the speed of light. That buildup was so long and dramatic.
Yeah.
And then he just goes and it's like slow, and then he just barely touches the tip of it. Just
Yeah.
like super. And it was like, oh my, I'm like, wow, this is the most like intense like little box tip ever. Then it's even reminded me of what's like the famous painting of like the angel in the sky, like with his finger touching with like the human finger. It reminded me of that too. I'm like, that was such a perfect action sequence in my mind. I loved it.
Well, I thought it was really cool when they fought Superman and he's like running and then everything is really slow and then you see Superman's eyes move. I thought that was like really cool. I was like, that worked for me. I when they fought Superman, I actually really liked that scene. That was like one of the best action scenes I think I've ever seen in a superhero movie.
Yeah, that was really good. Also, I think you would have liked the Batman versus Superman fight scene. I don't know if it's as good, but it's just it's a little more silly in my opinion. Because like Batman just has this big fucking like suit, like he just looks like
I've seen clips of
and he just like and they're just literally just punching each other. Like it's pretty funny, but it was entertaining. It was kind of like a silly like it's just so again that's where Snyder gets his edginess because it's just like, oh, I'm mad, angry, punching over and over again. But that was good.
Is there anything else you want to mention about like the characters?
Well, we didn't get into Aquaman yet.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's talk about Aquaman. So I want to mention one thing. So, like I said, he's kind of like a meme on the internet, and everyone says like, "Oh, his powers talk to fish." But I wanted to say there was a Cartoon Network Justice League TV show, and he wasn't one of the
Teen
main
Titans.
No. There was an actual Justice League one. And he wasn't one of the main Justice League characters, but he was in it like a decent amount. And he was a badass in that. He was like already the king. And all I remember, they're like in underwater and the bad guy like throws a baby in a volcano and like traps his arm. And then Aquaman cuts off his own hand to go and like save the baby before it falls in like the underwater volcano. And then he has a hook for a hand for like the rest of the show.
Oh, that's pretty
And like
cool.
he was actually like pretty cool in that. So I was like, they can still make him cool without having to make him like such an edgelord. Like I feel like Batman's the edgelord. Aquaman can still be cool though.
Yeah, I feel like Aquaman, they're just making another like joke out of him. It's like, oh, he's the one who's kind of he didn't want to like help participate at the beginning. He just wants to drink. He's like the lazy one. He doesn't want to pick up his responsibility. So like that's his character. Oh, he's just the joke alcoholic guy. And it's like,
well, I feel like they thought.
Anything.
Yeah, they thought like since he was a meme, they have to go like the extreme opposite, where now he's like super lazy, like alcoholic, badass kind of guy. Mm-hmm. But I just don't think it works for like especially a superhero, and he still is a joke because he still didn't do anything in this movie.
Yeah, I feel like everyone used their powers well enough to like help at the end and contribute, except for him. Like he was just kind of there like spearing guys, which was cool watching him spear people, but he didn't really play a role. Like Batman had a plan for everyone. But except for Aquaman, you're like, you just follow Wonder Woman around and just help fight the bad guy. You're just,
I
the
feel
support,
like there's that brief scene where Steppenwolf steals the cube from Atlantis, and there's like that girl Aqua person. Mm-hmm. I don't remember the character's name, but she was way more badass. Like she was fighting Steppenwolf and like doing like the weird bubble stuff underwater.
Yeah, that was.
I was like, damn,
cool
she's
fight.
way cooler than Aquaman.
Yeah. I don't know. They just underutilized him. I don't know. I don't know why they had him in.
And I don't know. I don't know my DC lore, but Trident has tri in it, so that means 3. So a trident should have 3 prongs, but Aquaman's has 5. I just wanted to point that out. I don't know if that's like some DC thing, but I just had to say it.
Yeah, I have no idea.
It's more of a pitchfork, if you ask me, than a trident.
Maybe he stole it from a farmer fish man. I don't know. Fish farmer. But yeah, I was also with Aquaman's plot at the beginning of the movie. I saw Willem Dafoe's name on there, Willem Dafoe, and I was like, "Oh shit, he's gonna be in it." I'm so excited to see what he's gonna do in the movie. And he just was in like one scene. I'm like, "Oh, what a disappointment."
I think he was in the Aquaman movie a little bit more because he's like some aqua person politician. But I mean, I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I was really hoping for him to do more stuff. But
Well, I thought maybe he just, after he was on that lighthouse, he just fell overboard and became an aqua person.
yeah, the Lighthouse is a prequel to the Aquaman and Justice League movie.
That's his origin story.
That's where he got his powers, was from being on the lighthouse for hundreds and hundreds of years. He's the overseer of the ocean.
Yeah.
They had the right aspect ratio still, the 4:3 aspect ratio.
I know, they just needed to make this movie black and white. It would have been the
Yes.
same movie, equally as good.
Yeah, we know how, like, what was it? The Fury Road, that was the director's original intent, was to release it in black and white. And maybe that was also that way. No, this was his vision. They had that note at the beginning. This was exactly Zack Snyder's vision. So he didn't want black and white.
He just wanted that square movie.
He really wanted a square. I did think that was kind of funny at the beginning, when it had like the little message that was like, this movie is in 4:3 aspect
But
ratio
that's also,
to stay
like,
true to Zack Snyder's creative vision.
I mean, that's such like a Zack Snyder thing to do. Like, he's just like, I just saw an interview with him and they were talking about like, oh, what do you think of like the negative criticism of like Batman vs Superman? And then he was like, oh, well, people still talk about that movie, so that means it's actually a good movie. And I was like, that's such like a Zack Snyder thing to say.
I mean, Batman or Superman's not horrible, but it's not like an amazing, like, beautifully crafted movie, in my opinion. Like, in my opinion,
I think...
was it Come True was a much more better looking movie, just from purely filmmaking and aesthetics point of view, even with soundtrack and stuff. It just looks nicer, it's more visually interesting than Batman vs Superman or Justice League.
Well, I know the big thing with Batman vs Superman is like everyone thought the ending was incredibly dumb, where like Superman and Batman the mom has the same name or something.
Yeah, they do have the same name.
I think that really rubbed everyone the wrong way and kind of was like what was like the icing on the cake that made them like hate the movie so much.
Well, the thing is, though, with these superhero movies, that's what I expect. Like, especially after watching so many Marvel movies, there's just dumb plot shit that's just thrown in there to move things forward, and it's like not great.
Everything is surface level.
Yeah, but Marvel can get away with it, though, because they have that cheesy silliness throughout all of their movies constantly.
Yeah, the characters have charisma.
Not even charisma. I think it's just the tone of the movies is different. So Zack Snyder, as a director, makes kind of more serious, edgy movies, and he holds himself to a different standard, I would assume. But I think that's why, because I feel like in a Marvel movie, if they had shit like that happen, no one's going to give a fuck, because it's just like a silly, dumb thing with all the billion other dumb things. But
that's what I
the
think,
rest of the movies actually make sense. But that one plot point in Batman vs Superman, you're like, oh, well, that's stupid.
Yeah, well, that's what I want. Like, I want, when you see like these Avengers or Justice League movies, you want to see the characters interact with each other. You like want to see your favorite superhero joke around with your other favorite superhero. So like in Marvel, they just like have quips. They just are like joking around or whatever, and like that's fine. That works. But in the DC movies, I feel like everyone's too edgy and they don't want to work with each other. It's like a joke, like in my Dungeons and Dragons community, where like everyone wants to play like an edgelord rogue. So like when they're at a tavern, the tavern has to be like an octagon because everyone's in a corner by themselves. Like they just have to be edgy, brooding in a corner. So like you have to have an octagon-shaped tavern. So that's like Justice League. You have to have an octagon-shaped Batcave because everyone is going to be in a corner by themselves, brooding because they're so edgy.
Yeah. I mean, with superhero movies, I have a hard time taking any of them seriously. I mean, even like The Dark Knight, which I guess is like everyone says, oh, that's like the best of the best you're gonna get for superhero movies. It's still like it's fucking Batman, dude. It's just like a made for 13-year-olds in my opinion. So like I can't take them seriously. So like I get what Zack Snyder's going for to be different, but yeah, you kind of have to be a little silly.
Well, everyone already knows that the Batman movies peaked when they had Arnold Schwarzenegger play the Iceman, and literally every line he has is a pun. Like, how are they ever going to get better than that?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what's so strange to me with all these Marvel movies. There's so much like silly, bad dialogue. Why not just go overboard with the jokes? Like, why not get like good comedian writers to do the dialogue or something? Like, really just make it jokes on jokes.
Yeah,
maybe they do. Maybe they do, and they're
what,
just bad writers. I don't know.
I think Kevin Hart should be the next Batman, is what I think.
I mean, honestly, he'd probably be funnier. It probably would make it more enjoyable than fucking Ben Affleck.
Oh, okay, no. I take that back. The Rock as Batman and Kevin Hart as Robin.
Oh, that would be so good.
$1 billion idea right there.
Ooh, another good $1 billion idea of kind of the cop partner dynamic. What if you had Will Ferrell be Batman and then Mark Wahlberg be Robin from like the other guys, the police force dynamic?
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, all I want is Jack Black to be the Penguin. He's got the right body type for it.
Oh, that'd be so
But
good.
okay, if you think about the old Batman movies, okay, so we have Jack Nicholson as the Joker, like that's great.
Right.
We have Jim Carrey as the Riddler, and Arnold Schwarzenegger as Iceman. Like, come on, that's like way better than these current ones.
It's so good. I did kind of enjoy. They had in Batman vs Superman. They had Mark Zuckerberg playing the Lex Luthor villain, and he's just kind of this nerdy, like weird looking.
Is he bald in it?
So he has really long hair in Batman vs Superman, but then he gets arrested at the end, so they shave his head and put him in Arkham Asylum. So that's why he has no hair.
Well, he said Lex Luthor's always been bald when I think of him from like the TV shows and comics.
Yeah, but he was pretty good. He did a really good job playing this kind of like weird, cringy, just creepy, evil like scientist bad guy who's kind of like what you would imagine.
I really like Jesse Einsberg.
Yeah, he was good, but there was one really even though it's not in Justice League, in Batman vs Superman, there's a really funny scene where he's like making a deal with like the government or something to get access to Superman's ship because he discovers like I don't know some shit with kryptonite. So like he made a deal and he's like, "Oh, can I get like access to the entire like Superman ship?" And the guy's like, "I don't know." Then Iceberg, "Yeah, you're gonna give it to me." Then he has like a bowl of Jolly Ranchers. Then he unwraps a Jolly Rancher and then like puts it in like the other guy's mouth like really slowly. Then licks his finger. And I just thought that was like the funniest scene ever. Like I was like, "What the fuck?"
I kind of want to watch this for that scene now.
It was so good. I was like, "Oh my god, this is great." So I enjoyed him as a villain. I was a little sad he wasn't in Justice League more.
Oh, well, it looks like he's going to be in the next movie.
Yeah,
so.
he was good. I think he was my favorite character in all of the movies.
I mean, he's
is
at
like
least
interesting.
Superman's like main villain in it. So
yeah. So hopefully he comes back because he did a good job. Much better than that fucking sequence with Joker at the end of this thing.
Oh, we'll get there. But I wanted to go. The next thing I wanted to go into was the dialogue. So I want to say this movie had some really, really bad dialogue. What do you think?
Yeah, it did not have great dialogue. Better than Wonder Woman 84, though. Much better than that movie did. But yeah, luckily there was so many long dramatic scenes, and the dialogue was definitely kept to a minimum in this movie.
Yeah, I think that's why I liked it.
Good. Yeah, if there was a lot more dialogue, it would have been rough. But yeah, it wasn't good. My example of really bad dialogue that really bothered me was when Cyborg's describing what like the box does to like train to move particles around and stuff. And then he has his like scientific explanation, and then he's like, like it's kind of like when a house burns down, the house particles turn into smoke particles. I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. Then everyone is like, oh yeah, that makes sense now. It's like,
no, I think they took it even a step further though. I forget who, but someone says, oh, anyone with a match can turn a house into smoke, but no one can turn a smoke into a house.
Yeah, something like that. It was just so dumb. Like, oh. Or they even like the classic, like he's explaining something, and then Aquaman's like, speak English, man. Come on. Like he's speaking like too much science talk.
So yeah, one that stood out to me is when Steppenwolf fights Wonder Woman for the first time, and he goes like, "You're mine," and then Wonder Woman goes, "I belong to no one." It's like, Wonder Woman, you're missing the point. He's saying like he wants to fight you one-on-one, not that like he owns you, because like I know you're a strong, independent woman, but you misread what he was saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, she is like 5,000 years old, so who knows?
Well, I don't think she can play on that trope anymore, that fish out of water trope, because she's been living in like normal world for like 100 years now.
Oh, you're right. That's a fair point.
She can't feign ignorance anymore that she's an Amazon. So she's lived here longer than most people have. So
yeah. But you know what? She did pretty good in this movie. Like, I thought she was just a horrible actress because of Wonder Woman 1984. She wasn't like amazing in this, but she did a much better job. So I don't know what the hell happened with Wonder Woman 1984.
I think as far as like performances go, I think hers was the best in this one. I feel like her character.
Maybe just because she was next to Ben Affleck, though. Ben Affleck just fucking minimal effort the whole movie.
And then another line I wanted to mention too is when Batman brings everyone to the Batcave, and then Alfred's like, "Oh, should I put on the tea?" And then Batman's like, "Yes." And then Alfred's like, "Where will I find the cups?" I was like, "Why did he say that? Like, was that supposed to be a joke? Like, I didn't get it.
Like maybe he's just not used to having company." That scene was really weird to me because hadn't he already, like, it felt like they were all going to that lair for the first time, which maybe that specific one they were, But hadn't they all met Alfred before? Like, weren't they all had been like they all looked at the ship? Like they had a scene before where like Cyborg was at least there.
Yeah,
Like when they were discussing the. I don't know. That just felt. It
I
felt like
thought
that was
they
an
were in the
introduction scene.
Batcave before too, because they all
Yeah.
met up in like a bunch of computer screens, but maybe that was somewhere else.
No, I think they were because remember there was a scene where Cyborg like analyzes the ship and he's like, "Oh, this is just a software thing." I mean, maybe
Yeah,
those
because
are
there's
different
that
locations.
scene at least with Batman and Wonder Woman where
And
they're
Cyborg and Flash, I think. Maybe
Flash
Aquaman
wasn't there.
wasn't
No,
there.
but before that, because they were looking at the computer screen and then like, oh, we found like a facial recognition. So wasn't like Aquaman and Wonder Woman already there at least? Like I don't know.
Aquaman was last to join.
I don't know.
I
I
don't
feel
know,
like they'd
but
already been there. At
Well,
least
even
most
if they
of
hadn't
them.
been to that specific base, I think they had met Alfred before.
Yeah.
But he seemed like he had never met any of them before.
Yeah,
because they all kind of waved and said hi. Like the only one who seemed acquainted with Alfred was Wonder Woman. Like she was the one that greeted him in a way that was like she knew him. So everyone else, it seemed like the first time they were meeting, but I don't think it was. So I don't know. I
don't know, but the
maybe
important
they
thing
just-
is,
yeah.
where did he find the cups?
I don't know.
We
Where did
didn't
he get
find
the cups?
out. I didn't see them drinking, so did he not find the cups?
He
Did
must have
get
not found the
tea?
cups because they
He
didn't drink
couldn't
the
find
tea.
the cups, so they couldn't
Yeah.
get the tea.
Yeah, the one joke that he did.
This
that
is the
worked
plot
well-
hole that really got me hung up. I had to pause the movie for a while and think about it. I was
Where
like,
are those goddamn
Where is he gonna get
cups?
the cups?
Where's he gonna get those cups?
Where is he gonna get those cups?
Oh, you know what? I think what happened was he didn't have any cups is because remember there was that scene when Wonder Woman was making the tea and then Alfred's like, "Oh, I'll make the tea. I'll make the tea." She's like, "Oh no, I got it." Then he's being all critical of it. Maybe she made the tea so badly she stained the cups when she poured it to she poured the water when it was too hot on
Oh.
the tea. So
No,
maybe
no,
she
no.
dirtied the cups and he had to throw them away because
No, I figured it out. So remember in Wonder Woman 1984, and then they steal the jet with Chris Pine. Wonder Woman and
Yes.
Chris Pine steal the jet, and she makes it invisible.
yes.
And then he's like, "Have you ever done this before?" And she's like, "One time I made a cup invisible, but I couldn't find it."
Oh, so
Wonder
maybe,
Woman made all of Batman's cups invisible, so Alfred couldn't find it.
Maybe, but
Boom.
but there's a big problem, Charlie, in your theory is that this movie Justice League takes place in 2020. Wonder Woman takes place in 84. So is she time traveling now? Is there time travel?
I don't know. I mean,
involved?
Alfred's pretty old, so maybe.
Yes, I don't know. I'll take it. For Marvel movie logic, it's good enough. It's good enough.
That
for
makes
me.
sense.
For DC
Makes
movie,
sense.
Marvel movie, superhero
we
movie
found
logic.
we found the cups.
We found the cups. They're invisible in 1984.
Exactly.
Yeah. The dialogue was definitely very weak in this movie. It wasn't as cringy as like Tom and Jerry, for example, but it was. But that's not saying much. So
Well, you think that like one of like the dozen writers would be able to like come up with some decent dialogue.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, let's see, six storyboard writers, I think.
6 of them.
Yeah. For
Well, I mean,
this
maybe they had one
so-
for each of the characters' introductions. Maybe that's why Flash's felt so out of place because they had a completely different writer for it, the entire sequence. Yeah, I don't know. Was that all the characters that were important in this one?
Yeah, I think we talked. I mean, there's other people in it. Like people, they bring in a lot of characters from the other ones. Like Lois Lane pops up, J.K. Simmons pops up, William
Yeah.
Dafoe pops up. But I mean, who cares? They don't do anything.
Yeah, I mean Lois was in the Batman vs Superman a lot more. She was more important. But excuse me. But yeah, it's fine. I was so confused at when Martha went to go visit Amy Adams or Lois's character at her house, and then she turned into that fucking green thing.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that scene. Yeah, it confused me too. But then I just kind of wrote it off as like some shit probably from another movie that I didn't see.
No, it was just.
But it was Martian
that-
Manhunter, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Then he comes back
Okay.
at the end, so it was okay. But I was like, what the fuck? Like, is he a bad guy? I'm like, what is going on?
Well, that's like another thing too, because I feel like Martian Manhunter's not another like. I know he's like a core member of the Justice League, but I feel like he's not like a household name that people are going to recognize.
But
right
that was
away.
that was such a lazy writing. That was kind of stupid. Even at the end when they put it back in, it's like, okay, he's trying to contribute to help the Justice League unite, right? So
Yeah, he's
then
a little
then-
late.
Yeah, so then his one contribution, which I guess was important, was that he pretended to be Superman's mom to get Amy Adams to like stop feeling sad about Superman being dead and to come back to the real world, which I guess she does. But like, how would he know that by him telling her that that she would go out and do it. Like, it was a very like kind of ambiguous thing.
I don't
like,
really...
it's not a good contribution, I feel like.
I mean, I don't know what his superpower is. I remember he can walk through walls.
Yeah, but
And
like
that's all I know about it.
Yeah, but you see my point though. It's like that's not that much. Like I feel like if he was explicit about it, like, oh, you need to go help revive Superman. I mean, obviously as a movie that would kind of like ruin the build up. But like, I don't know. I just didn't buy that as a contribution.
it
Like, at the
was
end, he says that's why he came to help them because he cares about Earth. But I was like, I don't know.
Well, I also
It was
feel
a
like
weak-
if he was
weak
there,
intro.
could have helped a little bit sooner if he knew what was going on. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. It's just that part felt so lazily thrown in there.
Yeah, okay, well then since we're talking about Martian Manhunter, I like at the end when he like reveals himself to Ben Affleck, and Ben Affleck of course has no emotion, he doesn't give a shit that there's like a flying alien in front of his house. He's just like, I'm Ben Affleck, I don't know how to act.
I think that was supposed to be a joke, like he's like, oh, this is normal, but God, it wasn't done well. And he has such a low range, that's just how his character is all the time. Like,
They should have just had him like Martian Manhunter come to like Alfred, because that guy actually has a personality. But I mean,
yeah.
I don't like Ben Affleck, so
I just want I Care a Lot girl. You know what? Oh, wait a minute. I Care a Lot girl who plays Ben Affleck's wife in Gone Girl. Her name was Martha in I Care a Lot, which is also Ben Affleck's mom's name or Batman's mom's name in this one. Shit. So maybe Ben Affleck has a thing with moms.
Expanded universe, getting even bigger.
Yeah. Oh, that's one thing I did appreciate about watching Justice League as well, especially more so Batman vs Superman, is I got a lot more of kind of the jokes and stuff in The Boys. It really elevated some of them making fun of Batman vs Superman. I feel like The Boys is definitely more spoofing the DC universe
Oh,
than other ones.
definitely.
Which I knew it did that a little bit, but now I get a lot of the specific references. Like, they make fun of Superman in Batman vs. Superman, like, caring about his mom and being a mama's boy a little bit, or at least like Peter does. And they really play that up in The Boys, so I thought that was really funny. And there's just little things like that made me appreciate The Boys more. So at a minimum, Batman vs. Superman was it's somewhat worth watching to me. Just so
that was like when Superman first got revived and he was evil. I made a joke saying like, "Oh, he's Homelander now."
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, I could not take Batman vs Superman seriously because they have a whole lot of the things like, oh, it's the same kind of shit that happens in The Boys. It's like, oh, Superman's like fighting terrorists, but how does he decide who gets to be saved and stuff? And there's all like goes into the media and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is just like The Boys. This is just like The Boys. Yeah. And then I just kind of made me not give a shit about the movie as much, but you know, whatever. All right, so Martian Man we talked about. You want to go into the Jokerman?
Let's wait. One more thing. I just want to talk about the action scenes a little bit.
Okay.
Because that's like the end of the movie. But I feel like the action scenes were actually really well done. Like you could see everything what was going on, and like even though it was mostly CGI, you could still like tell like what was going on, see everyone fighting, and the action scenes were pretty well choreographed, I thought.
Yeah, they were good. In Batman vs Superman, they were also good. There was a driving sequence that was like pretty much all live action in Batman vs Superman, which was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. This one was definitely more CGI, but I did like them. Again, I liked Flash's action sequences the best.
Yeah,
but,
Flash was handled really well, I thought.
What were your favorite action moments?
So I actually really liked like the flashback to when all of like the old heroes were fought the aliens and like defeated them the first time, and it was just like super over the top like 300 style. But I felt like it really worked, just seeing like Zeus zap everyone with lightning, and they're all using like teamwork and cooperation. That one like Green Lantern guy got his arm chopped off, but
yeah, that stuff it was okay for me, but I'd been watching like 4 or 5 hours of fucking DC movies. At that point I'm like, this is just like I don't care about these characters.
Yeah, I mean, I just
thought it was cool, but I just thought it looked cool. Characters.
Yeah.
But yes.
Well, that's why I liked about this one too, because it was like more short action scenes rather than like 1 or 2 really long action scenes like Wonder Woman did, where you kind of like when when Steppenwolf takes like the cube from Atlantis, it's just kind of like a quick fun fight, and then there's like some more plot, and then another quick fight scene, instead of just like a bunch of boring plot that you don't care about, and then one really long fight scene, and then another really long talking boring shit you don't care.
Yeah, they had a pretty good job with all the action. Like from the start, they had some good action and stuff, which was better than like Batman vs Superman. In fact, the first half of that one, there wasn't that much action. It's pretty boring. But this one, it was just fucking Batman having night terrors all day.
Well, that was like it too. Like at the beginning of Wonder Woman 1984, they had like that Ninja Warrior crap with the Amazons,
God,
and it was
that
just
was
like
terrible.
so boring and pointless. And then this one, they had Steppenwolf fighting all the Amazons, and it was actually like a pretty cool scene. Like he was just killing people. So I was like, oh, that's actually like cool and interesting. And like, I don't really know who any of these characters are. They're just Amazons, and I guess one's the queen. But it was still like a cool action scene.
I like the one where all the moth people were stealing Wonder Woman's cube, and they had like in the temple, and they all had to fight him in there, and they're like jumping around and shooting arrows at him. That was good.
And the Amazons were badass. They're like, okay, we're gonna bury ourselves alive to like stop this guy, and they like didn't give a shit. They were just like doing it. And I thought that was cool. Yeah,
that's what was missing for me, honestly, in the Wonder Woman movies. Like they didn't have those cool fight scenes, or like that really actually showed how badass of fighters they were. I feel like they really downplayed all of the Wonder Woman's powers and stuff in both of the movies. I don't know.
Well, that's I feel like this one, like, none of the like superheroes are gonna die, but at least there were some stakes because they were killing some of the characters. Like they killed a lot of Amazons, they killed a lot of the Aquaman people. Like people were getting killed, so like there are some stakes in the movie.
Yeah, well, they did that pretty well in the Batman vs Superman too, because that's whole reason why Batman hates Superman is because he's this alien who's too powerful. And like when Superman's big fight in Man of Steel destroys so much of the city, that's why Batman's like, oh, he's too powerful. He's just killing all these innocent people died, and they really go up to like the casualties that happen because of these battles.
Yeah.
So at least there's actually people dying, and like you see the stakes, unlike in Marvel movies where usually you don't see anyone dying or they just don't talk about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was good. The action sequences were solid.
Were good. Yeah,
but
definitely.
To be perfectly honest, I think I liked like Monster Hunter's action scenes more. At least the first one where they're fighting like in like the desert and those little like creatures are like killing like TI and stuff. That was
Well, I mean that was like horror action almost.
Yeah.
But
that's just preference. I'm sure if you like superhero movies, there's some good action. You'll probably like these Justice League action.
Yeah, I mean I like the action in this more than like any other superhero movie that I've seen that I can think of right now.
Yeah. Except for Super.
The best action scene is when he bashes that guy's head in with a wrench for cutting in line at the movie theater.
Yeah, that was good. I think I liked the action scene where the first one where the whole Justice League fights together and then Aquaman has his appearance. I like that fight scene more than when they're storming the tower once they have all the 3 boxes.
Yeah, the tower one wasn't great, I thought.
I mean, there were some cool parts, but it felt very long. I did like watching all the moth people's heads get exploded, like with the lasers when Batman had the plasma gun or whatever. That was cool.
Yeah, that was like the first time Batman does anything in the movie.
But I really just wanted to watch fucking the Flash just kill everyone really in cool ways again.
Well, that's what I always joke about. If the Flash just had like a sword, like how badass could he be?
Yeah, I feel like he could just jump in the air, just run around, and if they're on the ground, he could just chop off all of. Like if he can go at the speed of light, he could kill an entire army in like a minute, probably.
Okay, so my impression in this movie specifically is that he's not a superhero yet. He's just like some guy with superpowers, and that's why he was like tripping and not good at fighting.
That's what I think too. Yeah.
That I think that's what they were going for. Because like I know in the TV show, because I watched like a decent chunk of it. They kind of wrote themselves into the corner because he was like too powerful in that, because in the show he can like run so fast, he can like go through walls and like travel in time and stuff. So they had to like think of ways to make him less powerful. So I feel like in this they went the opposite direction where he's kind of like clumsy and not
well even when he like what is at the end of the movie where he has to like run so fast it goes back in time. So I think that's probably what they're alluding to with the dream, but I feel like that was his first time doing it. He was like, okay, theoretically I can do it, so I have to try. So
that's what I think they're going for too.
Yeah, which worked for this, so that was good.
Well, yeah, like Flash and Wonder Woman were definitely the strongest characters in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, like strongest, like physical, not necessarily personality-wise. Well, even personality-wise, I would say Flash was. He was interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go into the ending. The ending, plural, with an S.
So after they storm the tower and impale and decapitate the demon monster thing.
Yeah, after that.
Oh wait, but real quick before we get into that ending. So that thing, the the big bad guy who was like the universe evil lord,
Death Side. I think.
Death Side. So what's the villain from the Marvel movies again that collects the rings?
Thanos.
So I thought it was Thanos. I thought
They
were
do
doing,
look.
like,
They do look very similar.
I literally thought this was like they're like preparing to do a Justice League Avengers crossover. I thought that was fucking Thanos. Like I thought that was. I'm like, what the fuck? This is the exact same fucking thing. Like,
He
why
does
would they
look
have this
very.
thing? And
very
he was not
similar.
even needed. He was not needed at all in the movie. Like,
Well, I mean, they're setting up for the next one.
yeah, but
which.
why would they do the same thing as Thanos? Couldn't they think of something better instead of?
Well,
a
yeah, and it's funny
universe
too.
lord? Like,
They have to
what?
get the 3 game cubes to destroy the world instead of getting like the 3 Infinity Stones or whatever.
Dude, I was like, come on, this is the same plot. I mean, maybe it is in the comics too, but just do something.
Well, I mean, if you ever think about like the source material of all this, like the comic books are so cheesy. Like they're so cheesy, especially like Batman and Superman, which I think go back to like the 40s. Like they're like a real trip on in the wrong kind of way.
Well, that's the thing though. Like you have to remember, like these movies are based off of old comic books, which are written for like 10 and 13-year-old kids in like the 60s or 80s
Yeah.
or whatever, you know. Which I mean, they have their place, but like everyone's just hopping on them. Like I don't know. Like if you're gonna make a movie now, this many years later, like try to give it like a unique spin. I don't know. Like you don't have to just keep following their dumb plot.
I mean, that's
the
why.
the fanboys will get mad if it's not true to the lore, but just make it your own.
No,
Like,
I
who cares?
I think like the Joker is the perfect example because you get all the neckbeard saying it's not like true to the Joker. You know, the Joker's like original stories. He's just like a man who fell in toxic waste and went crazy. There's none of this like society stuff. That's like way later. Like Jack Nicholson in the original like Batman movies is like the true Joker, where he's just like a guy who wants to cause chaos. And then as it goes on, he gets a little bit more developed, where he's like the antagonist of Batman.
Well, that's just what makes me so mad about the superhero movies. It's like it's the same shit over and over again. It's like I get it. Like, yeah, you like superhero movies, big action movie, turn your brain off, sure. But like at least Christopher Nolan with The Dark Knight, he made it his own. And like it's the same characters, but he definitely put his own touch on it.
Because that's like
made
the whole
something
thing.
new, like a very new plot line kind, or not new,
Yeah.
but like it was good.
Well,
Like,
that's how comic books are, because like a comic book comes out and they go through their whole thing with like beginning, middle, and end, and then some other author takes over it, and then they just like reboot it. And it's like if you want to read like a comic book, I don't even know where to start, because there's like 100 different like DC Batman comic books, and they're all just like Batman. There's no like one like original Batman. And if they want to go back to the one from like the 40s or 50s or whatever, that one's just like weird racist stuff, and they definitely don't want that's the original Batman, is like this
Yeah.
weird racist stuff from the 40s. Like
yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do it, try to make it your own, and then if you're not gonna make it your own, just fucking make a different movie. Just make a different movie with a new superhero. I don't.
That just comes down to, well, that's what I feel like. It's good, like with the lesser known superheroes, kind of like Deadpool and Shazam, where like they exist, but they're not like the well known one. Where I feel like the general audience isn't gonna have like these like ideas already about what the character should be like, and I feel like those are the movies that work the best for me, are the Deadpool and Shazam ones.
Well, Deadpool is just more violent and self-aware. Like it doesn't take itself seriously,
Yeah.
which I like. But anyway, you want to get into the ending? Let's go.
Endings,
Endings
plural.
with an S.
So, okay, well, first of all, since with Steppenwolf, they definitely shouldn't have like chopped off his head and just like taunted Darkseid or whatever his name is. I feel like they're just asking for trouble, wanting him to come. But besides that, so after that, there's 3 more endings with Lex Luthor escaping and whatever that other guy was, Deathstroke.
Oh yeah,
That, and then there's the weird Joker in the desert scene, which was also stupid, and then Martian Manhunter. So there's 3 more endings where you're like ready for this movie to be over because it's 4 hours long.
I know. Yeah, I was that hour. I think that was the last like 30 minutes or an hour. So that was hour 7 or 7.5 for me. So I was really wanting this shit to be over. I was just done.
So the Lex Luthor thing, I was like, oh, they're setting up for the next movie. And then there's the Joker scene. Oh, that's also setting up for another next movie.
They did not need those. Like they don't need to like tease everyone to that extent. Like just release it like a few years. I mean, I guess this is the extended version, so in a normal cut it wouldn't be in it. But still, like it was just so long and like
Yeah. So the Lex Luthor one on its own, I thought that was like fine because it wasn't like that long. I guess. It was just like a quick thing, and then they introduced like a new villain. And
But
I'm
he
like,
wasn't in the movie at all. He's in the
Yeah.
beginning. He was not in all. Like, if they had like Batman
Yeah.
go talk to him maybe about how to like use the like when they're
The game.
reviving Superman, maybe go talk to Lex Luthor to figure it out.
talk to him about like the GameCubes or something.
Yes, that would have been. But he wasn't in it zero. He wasn't in it
Yeah.
at all. So why throw him in at the end? Like, it's not.
And then introduce another character. And then I like how like they made a really big deal. He's like, "Oh, you're wasting my time, like coming here. Like you don't waste my time." And he's like, "Oh, Batman's real name." And then it's like, that's it. They could have just done like a phone call. Like, why'd they have to make it so dramatic?
Well, it's Zack Snyder. That's why it had to be dramatic. But like, yeah, I don't know. Like in Batman vs Superman, like Wonder Woman's at least in the movie for multiple scenes and does stuff in the plot. Like in this one, if they're hinting that Lex Luthor's gonna be in it more in the fucking Justice League 2 or whatever it is, it's gonna be made next. Like, why not put him in a little bit more? I don't know. I guess because he's so much in like Batman vs Superman, they didn't think it was needed. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like I thought. It's not like in Lord of the Rings, they introduce all the characters, and it's not like, oh, Legolas comes in it. It's not like Legolas just isn't in the movie anymore for the next two because they already introduced him in the first one. Like, have him work with each of the movies.
Yeah,
like,
they could have. I mean, the movie's 4 hours. Why not spend another 5 with with Lex Luthor or something if they want?
Yeah, so that was the first ending, Lex Luthor ending.
Yeah.
Then
the
next
desert ending. So first, this started playing, and I was just confused.
Yeah,
I was like, what am I looking at here?
Well, that I was kind of confused too, but I was confused. They did that a little bit in Batman vs Superman because Batman's night terrors are very important in that movie. He has a lot of them, and it's kind of like foreshadowing and all this shit going on. So I knew it was kind of a dream at that point. But then I was also thinking, since like Flash had his running thing, that's like that. This is the alternate universe that was created.
So in the show, that is like a common theme where like his dad died in the show, so he like ran back in time, but then he like fucked up the timeline, like classic like time travel thing. So there's like a one where he saved his dad and everything's good, but then it like fucked up like all the other timelines, so he has to like decide to fix it or not, and it's like a moral struggle. So that's what I thought at first too.
Well, I think it is. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what they.
Well, that's what they said.
explained.
Like the Joker said, like, how many alternate timelines are you gonna create because you don't want to die or something?
Yeah,
God, that scene was so stupid.
I know. Just that whole thing with the Joker and Ben Affleck.
And then
I wonder if they're gonna have to fight their evil selves in the next Justice League. Is the idea?
well, it looks like they're
that
gonna
really
fight
do.
evil Superman, but
Oh yeah.
I mean, didn't they already do that in Batman vs Superman? Didn't they already fight him?
Yeah, they did. But Superman wasn't really trying to kill Batman though. He was trying to because Lex Luthor was gonna kill Superman's mom if he didn't kill Batman. But Batman really wanted to kill Superman the whole time. So then he has to go fight him. So, but God, that was such a ridiculous fight.
Okay, so then they're in the desert, and I'm just confused. And then it's like supposed to like, are we supposed to like not know it's the Joker because it like shows like from over his shoulder for a long time of him talking, and it's like supposed to be like a big reveal when it shows his face, but it's like super obvious that it's the Joker. So
it wasn't as obvious to me because I first thought it was Joker, but I thought it was Lex Luthor from the first one because he had long hair. He wasn't bald in Batman vs Superman. So I'm like, is this Lex Luthor or is this the Jokester?
No, because if it was Lex Luthor, it has to talk like this because I'm Jesse Einsberg. I have to talk really fast and then stop talking because I'm Jesse Einsberg. So you know it's not him. But
You're right. Fair point. Well, I didn't watch Suicide Squad, so I'm not as familiar with the.
oh, you
Jared
lucky
Leto.
duck! Yeah,
Well, I heard he gave the best Joker performance ever.
his best Joker performance since Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson. What is
Spaghetti
James
and
Quall
meatballs.
Yeah, the James Quall impression. Spaghetti and meatballs. All right, so yeah, second inning, that was awful. That weird dynamic where they're giving him the card to help him or whatever.
Yeah, and it was really long. Like I was so ready for the movie to be over, and the Joker just like kept talking, and it's like, okay, this Jared Leto's Joker like already has like a bad reputation on the internet, and I don't think this is helping it by adding an extra like 10 minutes to this 4-hour movie that everyone's ready to be over.
Yeah, and like it's one thing with like when we're talking about like Shion Sono or Nicholas Winding Refn, like with their TV shows that are super fucking long and just have long scenes of nothing. Like with Shion Sono, at least he's letting characters just go crazy and go over the top. It's kind of like overindulgence, the idea. And then with like Nicholas Winding Refn, at least like stylistically, it looks really good. Like he's just going for purely just art house style to look really good. That's why it's long. With this scene, a lot of them didn't like. for Zack Snyder being so like full of himself and talking about how great and serious and edgy his movies, this movie didn't look that great to me. Like stylistically, like especially that scene where it's all orange in the desert, just looked ugly. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't want. You could tell it was fake CGI. Like they have it in fucking 4K now. I'm like watching it in
Yeah,
4K. I'm like, this is just ugly looking to me.
Well, I feel like it was just inconsistent because it was like the same as like Black Panther, where some scenes looked really nice and then some scenes looked really bad.
That's even more so true in fucking Batman vs Superman. Some looked so bad in that. Like this one looked much better, but it still wasn't that consistent of stylistically.
So
Anyway.
then Batman wakes up from the dream in the desert with the Joker, and then Martian Manhunter's like knocking on his door. And I think Ben Affleck gives the performance of his life with how surprised he is that this alien is just floating in front of him.
Yeah, Ben Affleck's just not great. Couldn't they have gotten anyone else? Why didn't they get Casey Affleck? I feel like he probably would have been cheaper. Casey Affleck probably has like standards. He's like, I'm not doing a superhero movie.
That's the thing too, because I know like with Marvel, they like all they want is big name actors, but I feel like the DC ones, they're not like top of the top, like Wonder Woman. I forget the actress's name. Like she's not like an A-list. Like she's famous, but she's not like an A-list like Samuel L. Jackson type of celebrity. And then like the Flash and Cyborg, they're not like A-listers. So why not just give Batman to
Well, is
someone
Ben
who
Affleck
cares?
A-list? I feel like Ben Affleck.
Well,
for
not
me, I associate
anymore.
him with like Vince Vaughn. He's like very B-list. Like he's
So he's
fine
S class. He's above A if he's like Vince Vaughn.
Oh, could you imagine if they cast Vince Vaughn as Batman?
I honestly think he wouldn't be I think he'd be decent. He'd definitely be better than Ben Affleck.
No, they should have, like, because he did a really good job being a serious kind of, in True Detective and Brawl and Cell Block 99, and I guess even in the other Dragged Across Concrete. He plays a pretty serious,
now that I think
like,
about it, I think he would be
scary-looking guy.
really good.
Yeah.
He would be good because
And he's like fucking 6'8" or something.
yeah,
too.
he'd be pretty intimidating. Dude, now that I think that would work. I like it.
If
I
he's
like
making
it.
movies like Freaky, they probably could have gotten him cheaper than Ben Affleck, and he would have at least taken himself seriously. Like, I heard Vince Vaughn's kind of an asshole to work with and isn't great, but at least
But I've heard the
given
same about Ben
half
Affleck too. I've heard a lot of
yeah.
bad stories about him. And supposedly he like shows up drunk a lot of the time. Like I don't know how true these are. These are just things that I've heard. But
Well, I mean, if he is drunk, then that makes sense why Batman is the way he is in this fucking movie, because
I
he
know.
looks like a
Well,
deadbeat.
well, it just sucks too when you get like Christian Bale and then you just go to Ben Affleck too. I mean,
Yeah. No, I feel it. But yeah, so the Martian Man ending gave the performance of his lifetime, not Vince Vaughn, half-assed
His
Martian
eye-
Man greeting.
his eyes were open. I think that's pretty good for Ben Affleck.
His eyes were open. He was clean shaven. That's all you can ask for from him. Oh wait, there was one in Batman vs Superman. He's training to prepare for his fight with Superman. So it's like a training montage. But the training montage, one of the things he's doing, he's shirtless with a sledgehammer, and he's just banging a giant rubber tire with a sledgehammer. And I just thought that was so funny.
Well, I mean, isn't that like some CrossFit shit? I feel.
I don't fucking know. I mean, probably he was like flipping change and stuff. I just was so funny. I don't know. His whole training bits were just kind of goofy to me.
I want to see him do some parkour. I want to see
that would have been
Batman parkour. Ben Affleck.
All right, Martian Man greeting. Is there anything else you want to say about that? And was that
No,
the real ending?
at
or
least
was
that
there
one
another
was.
ending?
At least that one was short. That's
That
what
was
I wanted
short.
to say. Yeah.
Was that the final ending, or was there another one after it?
So I didn't watch all of the credits. So there
Oh, I
might have
turned
been
it
a.
off. As soon as the credits
post-credits
rolled, I
scene.
turned that shit off. I was so done with it. It was so long.
But yeah, I think that was it. So only three ending scenes for this one.
Yeah, it's more. I think none would have been sufficed for me. None would have sufficed.
None of
for
them
me.
really added anything. I'm not excited for Deathstroke or Desert Land or Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, I mean, these were better than I expected, but it definitely didn't generate hype in me to want to watch more of the next ones they make.
Well, I feel like
I'm sure we will, but
yeah. I mean, Martian Manhunter's cool. I like Martian Manhunter from the cartoon, but I feel like Green Lantern should have been there. He's way more like a signature hero.
is Green Lantern? No, Green Hornet's Seth Rogen.
Yeah. Green Lantern is the guy with the ring, and it like makes things come out of his ring.
Yeah,
There was like a brief thing during the flashback fight there was a the Green Lantern's like an organization. There was one, and he got his arm chopped off.
Yeah, and then they saw his ring was floating around.
Yeah, that's one of the Green Lanterns, but there's a human one.
Dude, I just want all of these like big like superhero movies to cross over. I want Avengers. I want the guy to get all the rings. I want Thanos to get the rings. I want him to kill the fucking DC Thanos, get the boxes. Then he goes and kills Sauron and gets the ring before
to rule them all.
Yeah, and then he rule them all. The ring is what rules all of them. Dude, imagine if Frodo with the ring was tied into like these superhero universe ones. So like the ring is what unites all the universe, because they always are alluding that the ring's like the all powerful. But what if it's because it's like the fucking boxes and it just goes into these other universes? So Frodo destroying the ring is what actually gives the Avengers and Justice League the spiritual power to defeat the bad guys. If Frodo didn't defeat the ring, then the bad guys would have won.
I think it would have been cool. So they're trying to stop them from stealing the GameCubes, and they can't destroy the GameCubes.
Yes.
So they have to go to the top of Sauron's mountain to throw the GameCubes in the volcano to destroy them. Yeah, but then Thanos and Steppenwolf team up with Sauron to stop them from coming to the volcano.
Yeah, and then fucking Ben Affleck and like Legolas go and have their little mission and gotta go jump around because they're kind of the agile ones. That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
And then like Gimli and Aquaman have like a drinking contest.
That would be interesting. I bet you there's some fan fiction online if we looked hard.
Yeah,
enough.
it definitely sounds too creative for Hollywood.
Yeah, so. That was way too risky. I mean, Lego Movie kind of did that with like their like the
Lego. Yeah, there's a Lego Batman movie, so I'm sure.
Yeah.
There's some...
Well, in that one, they like open up like a portal or something to like another world, and then there's just like it's just like full on like media crossover. There's like all like King Kong. There's like the Sauron like tower, Evil Eye. There's like a bunch of references to like everything in it. But
I think we just need to get rid of all copyright laws so anyone can do a crossover with anything without getting permission. And
I know that. Yes.
The world I want to live in. Yeah.
Okay. So we've been talking a lot about Justice League. Is there anything else you wanted to mention?
I think we covered anything. I mean, it's a long ass movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some other things. I mean, I like the little spider thing that could read people's minds. The little evil spider robot that the bad guy had. That was pretty cool. But yeah, I guess the big question is: would you recommend Justice League Snyder Cut to people to watch?
I think I would. I think as far as superhero movies go, it's better than most of them. I probably wouldn't, if I had to do it again, I probably wouldn't watch it all in one sitting. Like, it's broken down in chapters, so maybe I would just watch like a chapter at a time instead of watching the whole 4 hours. I mean, it was like my whole Friday night, so.
Yeah. I think it could definitely break it out like a TV show. Just kind of watch them in segments. Mm-hmm. I would agree. I don't know if I would recommend it, to be honest, because I can't I can't bring myself to recommend superhero movies to anyone. I just feel like if you're gonna watch a 4-hour fucking movie, there's better movies you can watch.
Well, that's one thing I was thinking of. I was like, because it's really hard for me to like keep my attention for 4-hour movies. So I was trying to think of other 4-hour movies, and then we mentioned Love Exposure in the other one, which was pretty good, but that's just kind of like an adventure story, like where there's a lot going on, and it's just like going to the next. That one kept my interest well. The only other one I could think of was Blue is the Warm Its Color, which is like another 4-hour like romance drama. Yeah. And I remember we stayed up all night watching that one. It was over at like 6 a.m. But I still enjoyed that one because it kind of like covers such a long period of time. It didn't.
Yeah. And then there's like, Lord of the Rings, not 4 hours, but the director's cuts are like 3.5. I think those are better still.
Oh, definitely.
And then the other one I can think of is Das Boot, the German submarine war movie.
I don't think I watched that.
That one's, the whole movie's, it's like 4, I think the original cut's like 6 hours actually, and then they cut it down to like 4, but that whole movie's like just them in a submarine for like World War II from like the German perspective. That movie is fucking great. That's a good movie. But, yeah, all of those I think I'd rather watch or tell someone to watch than watch Justice League, to be honest. Like, it's 4 hours. That's long. And I don't think for a 4-hour movie, they did so little with developing characters.
Well, that's the thing, too. It's basically 2 movies where it's like Cyborg's origin story and then also the Justice League movie. It's like, just make it 2 movies.
Yeah, like... Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was fine for like an action movie. There were like pretty good action scenes, but like if you just like
it's no Helm's Deep.
Yeah, even if you like big action movies, big battles and stuff, like Helm's Deep's a better battle. or even in my opinion, I enjoyed the battles like when they were fighting dragons and stuff in Monster Hunter. I think that is a better action movie, and like doesn't even try to develop characters or do anything. It's just big action. Then like Tony Jaa's in it. So like watch a martial arts movie if you want some good action. Like watch some Jackie Chan movies or The Raid.
Yeah.
Or even like Deadpool at least is kind of like silly with it. Like, but I guess yes, if you like superhero movies, you will like this one. I think.
I'm just waiting. Supposedly, there's another hour of footage that got cut, so I'm waiting for the Justice League Snyder cut, director cut.
Oh, Jesus. But I don't know if this is definitely seems like a more male-oriented movie because it's less funny. There's less silly gags and bits and spoofs, and there's not that much character. It's really just kind of trying to be like edgy action scenes.
That's why it reminded me of 300, where it's just like it's like 300, where it's just like the story is to drive the action scenes. The story doesn't matter. It's just how you get to the next action scene.
Yeah, but for me, like, for a movie this long, and like at least in Monster Hunter, it was constant action. Like it was action, action, action. This movie, there was it was long, but there was a lot of like not dialogue, but a lot of talking and like people doing stuff and not fighting. Like of them going in these like long scenes, and like for a movie that's 4 hours, I cared so little about the character. Like they did so little to even try to develop them.
I just wish Batman wasn't in this movie, honestly. Like if he was just gone and they just skipped all that and maybe shaved off, like that would probably be like 45 minutes of the movie. I feel like it would have been way better because he doesn't do anything, he doesn't add anything, and Ben Affleck sucks.
Yeah, and then even in Superman versus Batman, I mean, they spend a lot of time with Batman. He's like the main guy in it. But like even that, like I didn't really like him or care about him or really like, yeah, he wanted to kill Superman, but like it wasn't like I get it, but it's like you knew he was fighting other guys. Like you don't know if he's good or bad. I feel like they kind of rushed him deciding to kill Superman in it. So it's not really done that well.
Well, that's
like,
the thing.
Their character things are not like you don't really like they have their dream sequences, but it's not done in a good way where as a viewer you kind of get in the mindset. It's very just like, all right, Superman got in a battle, killed a bunch of innocent people, so now I'm going to go kill Superman. It's like,
well, I think that's why the Christopher Nolan Batman movies work so well, because you see a lot of him as Bruce Wayne, so you kind of get some of his like charisma and like personality mixed in with it more, where in this one he's just always Batman, so he's just like always going to be super serious ass voice man, and on top of that it's Ben Affleck, which he doesn't show a lot of range in the first place, so it's just like double boring.
Yeah. And for me to really recommend a movie, like even Monster Hunter, at least it's only action, like with The Raid too, just a bunch of action and stuff. But like, I just have such a hard time when they're just really lacking in the characters and like the interesting kind of psychological view of it. Like even like Come True, much shorter movie, much lower budget, but like from the opening sequence, I cared more about this girl than I cared about anyone in fucking any of the Justice League movies. You know,
so
it's like
it has to do with like expectations, I feel. So like when I watch like a TV show, I want to like the characters or have good character development because you're going to be spending a lot of time with these characters. Or when I watch a movie, I care more about like plot and like cinematography because it's probably only going to be 2 hours. But with these expanded universe movies, it's basically an extremely long show. So you need to have the characters too. And this one, DC specifically, doesn't have the characters.
Yeah, well, I mean, they could go in the direction and make them more interesting, but they just don't do it. I mean, I guess Jared Leto tried with the Joker, but I mean, he has a long way to go still. But it's like they just don't give him the time on screen or put the effort in to really doing it. It's all about the big save the world.
Yeah,
plot
exactly.
And assemble the super team. It's like I've seen it so many times.
Well, that's why I like Shazam so much more, because it's a small story where it's basically about this kid who's an orphan, like trying to come to terms that like his foster family is his family, not blood family, you know? And it's just like the plot is very small scale, and like there's a fight at the end, but the movie is about his character coming to this realization, where all of these other ones, it's just like the world's going to get destroyed.
Yeah, well, at least in Batman vs. Superman, they do that because it's much more about them not liking each other. Then, like, Lex Luthor's in it, and he's not trying to destroy the world. I mean, he kind of does by, like, summoning the box at the end, but he just creates, like, the one monster at the very end, and that's who they fight together to defeat, and that's what kind of makes them, like, work together in the end. But it's just, for how long it was, it's still, like Superman and Batman, they interact so little up until the fight. I think they maybe have like one scene where they don't really know who each other are yet. Like they're in like their normal like daily like characters and like a big party, And then there's like another one where like Superman sabotages Batman's plan. So they really only meet each other like a couple times, maybe a little bit more, but like they don't do anything with that dynamic.
Yeah.
Like there's
the
so little
characters-
development with the characters.
The characters never
the
interact
interactions
except
together.
for the Flash a little bit. You know
And
what?
it's
Fuck
like-
it. You convinced me. I say I don't recommend it anymore. Just watch the Justice League cartoon on Cartoon Network. I think that's also on HBO Max.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like for people watching a Justice League movie, it's exactly what you expect it to be from an action perspective, but it just has the same problem that I have with every superhero movie.
I think
Like-
this was the plan all along, where they had the original Justice League version and it was so bad. So now that Zack Snyder released this subpar version, it seems so good compared to the other one.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, compared to like Tom and Jerry, yeah, this is a great fucking movie. Oh my god, this is phenomenal compared to that, you know. But like, I don't know. I think there's still better movies one could spend their time watching.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we spent a long time talking about it. But yeah, if you want to watch some cool action scenes and want to do something for 4 hours, here you go.
Yeah, well, I definitely say if you are going to watch it, just take a break after each chapter. It's broken up in chapters. Take a break. Treat it like a TV show.
Yeah, but that being said, in this scheme of superhero movies that follow the same superhero formula, I guess it's a little better than average.
Yeah, I think it's significantly better than the other superhero
Yeah,
movies that I've seen.
I guess more than a little. It is better. It is
Yeah.
better. But for certain, for us who like the more action focused stuff, like if you're looking again for more of those jokes, you just love those Marvel jokes and you love those baby Groots, this isn't for you. There's no baby Groot.
No babies in this at all.
Any other thoughts before we wrap up this massive Justice League review?
I think that's all I got. I have to pee really bad, so.
Yeah, well, we've been at it for a while. Well, if you made it this far, please drop us a like and subscription on YouTube. We love it. We need the support, and we thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.